Originally, I wasn't even gonna make a video answering this question because it seems like it comes across as a troll question because the question is so fucking ridiculous that I didn't even think I needed to answer this question, but my inner voice is telling me to reply to this comment and answer it and give a detailed, in-depth answer. The question basically is, can you explain why there's sexism in the world? And she swears that it's a serious question. The chick's been watching my channel for a couple of years, so why not, right? We'll answer this question and give a real response to it. So something that I need the younger people that watch this channel to understand is that society is trying to brainwash you people into thinking that there's no such thing as a difference between a man and a woman, that you can just pick whatever sex you want because we're all the same, because everything is communism, everybody should get paid equally, everybody's equal, everybody's the same, there's no differences. To understand why sexism exists in the world, you first have to understand that human beings are not equal, that there's major differences between two completely different sexes. One sex produces 20 times the testosterone that the other one does, which is a pretty big difference. And there's other factually, we're not talking opinions, we're not talking about what you fucking believe, okay? We're talking 100% factually proven differences between men and women. But society is trying to insult the intelligence of people that have intelligence and trying to get kids to think that there's no differences between a man and a woman. So, before you continue to watch this video, Alyssa, you first have to understand that society is lying to you. Men and women are not the same. Now, with that, because every time I say that in the video, people get angry. As if I'm saying something that's wrong, as if I'm saying something that's insane. It's ridiculous, like, because at the end of the day, teachers can teach you this, society can teach you this, but it still astonishes me that people actually buy into this malarkey, that people actually listen to this bullshit and think that it's true. Men and women are not the same. With that basic piece of biology out the way, something that you have to understand is that animals see the world through their sense of smell, through their sense of hearing, and through their sense of feeling. Humans see the world through their eyes, okay? So, and humans like to observe things and establish things based off of familiarity. Now, why am I saying that, right? How does racism begin, right? It begins when human beings that are of a different ethnic group or of a different skin color, they observe what they believe to be a consistent pattern of behavior among human beings that aren't like them. And we don't just do this with race and sex. We do this with short people, tall people. We do this with disabled people. We do this with people that play different sports than we do, that have different hobbies that we do. We identify a similar pattern of behavior based off of, well, we identify what we believe to be a consistent pattern of behavior based off of groups that we can isolate. Now, it's much easier to, get these beliefs when you have a large sample size, right? If you only look at women, you have billions of people to isolate. If you only look at a race, you have millions of people to isolate. When you do this for groups that are a much smaller sample size, like people that just play a different sport than you, people that are different in height than you, it becomes a lot harder to isolate. But the main reason sexism exists is because there is some truth to each stereotype, okay? Stereotypes don't just get born out of nowhere. Stereotypes don't just get born out of thin air. right? It's one thing to say something about one race, right? I mean, you can be completely wrong on that, but it's another thing entirely when the stereotype becomes popular to the point where it's a common thought around among most people. Okay, in order for most people to have this idea about a specific sex or a specific race, there has to be some truth to that, otherwise it wouldn't spread like wildfire. Okay, now the main reason sexism exists is because men, for the most part, are inherently the same. Men that are different from other men are unicorns. Women, for the most part, are inherently the same. Women that are different from other women are unicorns, right? I have several videos talking about why you have to find a unicorn. You know, not going to rehash that here. But understand, right? A man that's a unicorn is still going to be significantly different than a woman that's a unicorn because men and women are different. All the women that are similar to each other are going to be different from all the men that are similar to each other because men and women are different. I can't stress this enough. Now, sexism is a twofold thing. You have a lot of women that are sexist towards men, and you have a lot of men that are sexist towards women. As for why the sexism exists, simple. A human being will go through their lives and they will interact with both sexes, and they will begin to develop thoughts based off of what they believe to be a consistent pattern of behavior. Now, depending on the consistent pattern of behavior that they're observing, there may be some truth to what they're thinking, or it could be completely fabricated based off of their own experiences. A major reason I tell men that they have to get experience with women is because depending on your skill level, depending on your experience points, depending on how good you are with women, that depends on what you see from women. See, and this is why I call women the gatekeepers. Because men that are good with women, they know don't listen to anything women say, just read their actions. And really, you should be doing this with men too. Like when it comes to human beings, don't listen to what they're saying, just go off of their actions. Because if somebody has an incentive to deceive you, they probably will. Now why do I word it that way, right? What's the difference between men and women in this situation? If a man gets caught in a lie, they're usually held accountable for their actions immediately, right? Well, I mean, it used to be like that. It's not really like that anymore because we live in a world full of soy boys who are too afraid. They're so afraid of conflict, they don't hold anybody accountable for their actions anymore. But once upon a time, there was a point in time where in society, as if you were caught in a lie as a man, people held you accountable for lying. Nowadays, everybody just lies about anything and nobody holds anybody accountable. But you have to understand, right? Men at one point in time were at least held accountable for their actions. That's why men in the past were taught to be truthful, were taught to be honorable, and were taught to have integrity. That's not the case anymore. Men aren't taught anything anymore. That's why the world is in chaos. Women, on the other hand, they were taught the opposite. They were taught, keep secrets from your husband. Use deception to get what you want. Use manipulation to get what you want. And the main reason I'm mentioning that is because men and women live completely different lives. Which is why it's so fucking asinine that people believe that there's no difference between the sexes when we live completely different lives. A 20-year-old man is going to have totally different experiences in the world from a 20-year-old woman. Now, an inexperienced man will realize this and he'll get angry, right? He'll begin to see women as like men that don't get it. They tend to be the most sexist because they don't have the experience and they don't have the skill points to understand what they're seeing, to understand what's going on. So they tend to get angrier at women, whereas though men that have the skill points and the experience points to be good with women, they have a lot more positive experiences. Now, the sexism again happens when people are identifying what they believe to be a consistent pattern of behavior. And most women, again, pretty much act the same. Most men, again, pretty much act the same. That's why, you know, mothers teach their children, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, they don't teach their children that anymore, but time immemorial ago, parents would teach their children, don't judge a book by its cover. Now, you have to be careful with this because when it comes to average people, you absolutely can judge a book by its cover, but when it comes to unicorns and unique individuals, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. You know what I'm saying? When I tell people I used to be a correctional officer, people, you know, in real life, they're like, you look too young to be a correctional officer. And I'm like, well, actually, I was a correctional officer in 2017, right? Because people in real life think I'm like a college student, you know, or a senior in high school. But it's like, no, see, this is why you can't judge a book by its cover when it comes to individuals. But when it comes to average people, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That's the origin of sexism. That's the origin of racism. That's the origin of isms. Because as human beings, we seek to isolate and establish a consistent pattern of behavior with groups that we perceive to be different from us. And make no mistake, men and women are fucking different. I don't give a shit how often people disagree with me on this. I don't give a shit what y'all gossip about on Discord. Factually speaking, you cut off opinions, you cut off beliefs, you cut off philosophy, you cut all that shit off and you stick to what is true. Factually speaking, we can prove 100% beyond a reasonable doubt, just looking at the biology of men and women, that men and women are different. Now, when you accept the truth, you can then begin to see how sexism comes to be. Because people from both sexes will isolate what they consider a consistent pattern of behavior with this being that is different from them, and that's where the stereotypical thoughts begin. Now, obviously, not all stereotypes are 100% true, but most stereotypes have some truth to them. And again, I'm talking about average people on the cattle farm. I'm not talking about unicorns and exceptions to the rule. Hopefully this answers your question, Alyssa. I really am slightly annoyed that I even have to make a video explaining to people that men and women are different, hence why there's sexism. But my inner voice told me to make this video, so be happy. I'm going to make this video. As far as when I upload this video, I don't know, because I just uploaded the video, and I don't know. I may just upload it tomorrow. Catch you guys in the next one.